Hey friends, and welcome back to Stronger Every Day. So today I wanted to talk about kind of the daily, right? So what is it that we do daily that helps us maintain when we have mental illness? In particular, mine is depression and anxiety. So we kind of hear these things, and when we're in the throes of it, we kind of toss them aside as I can't do that, it's not relatable. What I've found that is when I am not in the depths of depression and anxiety, I'm either on the way up or normal or just starting to go down. If I take these steps and I allow myself grace, I follow these steps. We've talked about several different ways to help when you have depression and anxiety, and I start changing things, that it does make a difference. And you're talking to someone who is coming up on 28 years shortly here soon of suffering with depression and anxiety and feeling like I'm lost, nothing can help, no one can help. There's not a medicine that can help, a diet that can help, a change of scenery that can help, plethora of different things that people suggest you do. Feeling like nothing is going to help, and just being in that almost, well, not almost, I was just hopeless state. And there are things that we can do no matter what your situation. And what I mean by that is whether you have insurance or don't have insurance, whether you are stable financially or whether you're not stable financially, there's always a little something that we can do. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when you have insurance and you're more financially stable, it's easier for you to get help and to actually be able to afford to go to the doctor and actually be able to afford to get that prescription, or actually be able to afford to talk to that therapist or that psychologist or social worker or psychiatrist. Versus when you don't, or you don't have access to those things, or even right now as gas starts to creep back up again, having fuel to get there, right? Some people are literally choosing between do they want to keep electricity or do they want to keep water? So some of these things are easier for some, but there's something in here for everyone. So I wanted to kind of start going over those. I have 10 of them. This is not by any means an all-inclusive list. This is just 10 things that I've chosen, that I've written down and made little notes about, that have helped over time make things different for me with depression and anxiety. So let's get started on that list. So the first one is self-care, and this one doesn't cost you a thing. So pray, meditate, exercise, eat healthy, get enough sleep. Now, some of these, again, they're easier said than done depending on your circumstances, but there's times, if you have 2 or 3 jobs, it's harder to take time for yourself. But I guarantee on your lunch break, you can eat and then take maybe 10 minutes to just pray or meditate, or whatever that looks like for you. Maybe when you get home before you go to bed, instead of getting on your phone and quote unquote, which is what I do sometimes, catching up on the day, you can take a step back, put your phone down, because that also gives you trouble going to sleep when you're on an electronic device. Pray, meditate, think of things ahead of time that will make your life easier for the next day, like eating healthier. Believe it or not, there are still millions of Americans that do not have access to fresh produce and fruit. Their local grocery store is a catch-all, which would be what we would consider the center aisle items. So there's very little fresh fruits and vegetables for them to choose from, but pick the best that you can pick from what you have. So, versus getting candy and donuts and cakes, go for, I've said for a long time that Nick and I we lived on bread and peanut butter, and we rationed down to 1 sandwich a day and just had to make it through. Is that the healthiest option for us? Of course not, but we're doing what we had to do. But we didn't buy things that were going to make it worse for us. So You could also look into one of my favorite breads ever in this world is the bread I make at home. I make sandwich bread for us every week. It's just simple ingredients. I can link the recipe down below. Simple ingredients. I make it once a week and it is delicious. So just things that we're doing to make the day better. Just a little bit of self-care. Maybe you can't afford to go out and get a massage or get your nails done or get your hair done or go out for a girls' night. Maybe you can't afford to go out at all, but what you can do is say, well, let me get some I'm not I don't do my nails, but maybe you like that, so go to a cheap store and get some nail polish and do it yourself. If that makes you feel pretty and it makes you feel good and you like looking down at your hands, do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You can do it yourself. I'm not good at it, which is why I don't mine doesn't have that, but I do other things for self-care. So step one would be just self-care, and like I said, you can do that on whatever level that you're at in life, and that's going to look different for everybody based on your situation. So just think of ways that you can take 10 minutes even a day. Even if you're working 2 jobs and raising, 3 kids on your own, you have 10 minutes a day where you can take that time to recharge your battery so that you can be the best version of you with all the things that you're in charge of. Number 2 is set goals. So I have a calendar, and in that calendar it breaks down day by day, so tasks day by day, and I go in there every day and I put on the list everything that I need to get done that day or everything I need to get done that week in different days of the week, and I go in every day and I check that list off. What that does for me is it shows me all the things that I'm actually getting done, because we get so busy in life that we look back and we're like, what have I done today? Like, I feel like I've done everything today, but nothing. I mean, there's moms, right? Moms and dads, when you have kids, or like we have 4-legged kids, and I'll be in here cleaning all day. By the end of the day, I look around and I'm like, you can't even tell I cleaned this house today. So I have notes. Like every Monday I clean the house, and by clean I mean I deep clean it. I clean the bathrooms, clean the kitchens, clean the living room, clean the floors, clean the window, all of that. I do all the laundry, and we have fur babies, so all the bedding gets washed. All of their bedding gets washed. We have slip covers on all of our furniture. All of that gets washed. Everything that's washable in our house gets washed every single week. So on Mondays, I try to do that. If I miss a Monday or something comes up, I do it the next day. I'm not rigid, and I don't condemn myself for not getting things done on my checklist, but at least I can go back and say, here's my goals for the day and here's what I want to do. Also long term, so short term and long term goals. Short term, I think for me, help me better because I'm checking things off the list and seeing my progression throughout the day, and I encourage you to try that, even if it's just in your notes app on your phone. You can go in there. That's how I make my grocery list. You can go in there and where you can put a check mark on it. Even if I have simple things, so we're growing a garden, so I have check seedlings, move the goats. We have electric fence, and so they have a big pen, but I also like to get them on the rest of the land. So if it's nice out and it's decent weather, then I move them around the land. Study, and by that I mean study my Bible, read my Bible, have my time with God every day. Those are the 3 that are always on there. Dinner, I'm either cooking dinner or we're eating leftovers, so getting the leftovers prepared. If it helps you, put shower, brush teeth. I mean, we all know that those are some hard things when you're struggling with depression and anxiety. Take out the trash. Mow the lawn. I have a day now that it's getting warmer where our yard grows. It's been a field for 200 years, and so with cattle, so it's fresh, good ground, and it grows quickly. So every week, and then as the summer goes on, twice a week we mow. So whatever your tasks are, no matter how big or small, go to work, pick up dry cleaning, go to the bank, whatever that looks like. When you look back at that and think, I'm getting a lot done, or you can look back at it and say, okay, where's my time? Now, I had a game on my phone that I loved playing. I was on like level 5,000, and I got to thinking about how much time am I wasting on this game. And I justified it for a while because it was kind of my come down from the day and just relax time. But there's so many better options I can do with that, whether it's spending time with my husband, spending time with friends and family, spending time outside, working the land, working our homestead, spending time making meals, spending whatever that looks like, right? So pick something, set a goal, and make a little list every day and just check it off. It really doesn't take you that long to make that list, and I feel accomplished at the end of the day. I can look back, even on days where I'll look back and think, this house is a disaster and I've been cleaning it all day. Wait a minute. I did all of these things today. So it just makes you feel accomplished and have a sense of success and goals met for the day. Even on the days I don't get it all done, I still feel good because there's still things on my list that are checked off. I think it'll work for you. It certainly worked for me. It has changed the way I view of all the things I do. I don't necessarily realize them until they're written down. I look back and think, wow, I really really had a big day today. Number 3, and we've talked about this in a couple of videos, is recognize the onset of your depression and anxiety or mental illness. So sometimes we have no idea what has got us down. I know this past Monday, we had a very busy weekend. We were working the garden, tilling the garden, mowing the yard. I don't know why I keep doing that. Mowing the yard, which we have a big yard. We live on 13 acres. And then it's actually our mom and dad, Nick's mom and dad, our in-laws, and they live next door, but it's not like in a suburb. So we're in a rural area. So they're on up the street or on up the way from us. And so, you know, things that you're doing when you're doing all that. But Monday, I wanted to not have a whole lot of extra to do, and it just seemed like all day long there were little things that just kept popping up, and I never got a break all day long. And my husband had texted and said, hey, love you, how you doing? And I was like, I'm struggling today. So what I did was I recognized that I was starting to struggle. I came and I sat down on the couch. I took a minute and watched a little bit of a television show. I got my gardening magazine out and started reading it for a second. Sometimes it's as quick as just walking outside, taking a breath of fresh air. Those of us who don't have allergies, even when I do have allergies, I still like being outside. Sometimes it's just, you know what, I'm gonna light a candle and we're just gonna relax, or I'm gonna put on a good song. Whatever that looks like for you. But when you recognize the onset of it, start right then. What I like to do is even if I'm walking to where I'm going, Lord be with me, because I'm having a bad day today and I need you to help. So I start praying, and then I start giving myself a little grace, giving myself a little time. And if you're at work, that's extremely hard to do, or if you're around other people, take a second, get up from your desk, or if you're, you know, if you're a landscaper, or if you're a construction worker, or if you're police, fire, EMS, CEO, doctor, nurse, whatever, postal worker, take a second, walk into another room or walk outside and just look at something pretty. Look at something that, even if you live in a real suburban area and it's all concrete, look at the sky. Just look at something that is beautiful and just give yourself a minute, even, or 2 minutes of just, you'll be surprised at how much that actually helps. I always thought, that's not gonna help me. Like, I'm fired up. But typically, if I would just step outside for a second or step to another room for a minute, I would feel better and feel myself kind of calming back down. But it's recognizing when that's coming on and doing things to help your body not fall deep into that pit. Number 4 is be open and honest with your family. So just like I said, Nick texted and said, you know, love you, how's your day going? And I let him know right then that I was struggling that day and that I was having a lot of anxiety, and it was a pretty decent amount of anxiety. And it's letting him know that it's not you, it's nothing that you've done, it's nothing that anyone else has done. I mean, if there was a situation that involved someone else, obviously I would let him know that, but it's just at that moment I've got a lot of tasks going on and I can't seem to get caught up, and I'm tired from the weekend's work of, I mean, we especially he worked extremely hard in the garden. It's just different things, but it's letting them know so they're not wondering, have I done something? Did I not do something? Did I say something? Did I not say something? It's you don't have to tell everyone in your family, right? But your spouse or your significant other or your kids, you know, and you don't have to get deep into what's going on with them, but just say, you know, mommy just needs a couple minutes, and then we'll get together and we'll read a book, or we'll get together and we'll go outside and play, or we'll get together and we'll cook dinner. Whatever you do with your kids. Obviously we don't have two like a kid, so I'm struggling with some examples, but you know what I mean. Just let them know. You don't have to tell them, you know, every little detail about what's going on, but what age appropriately, I guess, would be what I would say. But just letting them know kind of what's going on. Or if you've got a really close friend and you're having a hard time, let them know. If nothing else, they can pray for you, right? It just helps to be open and honest. And I think for the mental health community, we try to suppress all that and hide all that, and we try to play normal, like we put on a character. And I always would say that I've been very authentically me, for better or worse, on that situation. But looking back at it, I can see obviously I was playing some sort of character because I did not want people to know that I had depression and anxiety. I wanted to be perceived as what society considers normal, and I was not that. So, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. You would be shocked if you ever just kind of listen, if you're around a lot of people and you're talking in a conversation, how many people actually have depression and anxiety or a mental illness situation going on that have never been diagnosed. And you're not alone. There's many people out there that are struggling with depression and anxiety, diagnosed and undiagnosed. And sometimes if you just listen to people, you recognize, man, I've thought that before. And then you start listening a little bit more of what they're saying and realize that they probably are struggling with some depression and anxiety, whether they want to admit that or not. I mean, it is what it is, but just understanding that. Number 5 is to find a friend or a counselor or someone that you can talk to. If you can't afford a counselor, I have a video, I can try to link it up above, of sources you can reach out to that will help with either low cost or free counseling. Understand there may be a wait list. This is a broken system in the fact that there's just not enough. It's amazing that we want to play it off like this isn't a big deal. There's not enough psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, people to talk to who have mental health background. There just aren't enough. And so the wait times, depending on your area, could be 2, 3, 4, 5 months out. So sometimes it's good just to have a friend that you can talk to, whether it's face-to-face or on the phone. I would not talk via text just because you can't really get a sense of, I think, without hearing and sometimes hearing and seeing someone where they are and what's going on. And a lot of times when we're texting, but then we're doing something in between, and then we're texting and doing something in between. So our full attention isn't on what we're actually talking about. So if it looks like a friend for you, talk to a friend. If you need to go to a counselor or a psychiatrist, psychologist, do that. And like I said, I will link a video that has some potential resources that can help or pay for said therapies. Just understand that sometimes it's a long wait list, but don't give up on that. Go ahead and make the appointment, because I think when the time comes for you to actually get in, that you'll be happy that you have it. So, and you can always cancel if you feel better. If it's going to be 4 months out and in 4 months you're like, well, I'm fine. But do cancel that appointment so that they can get another patient who is desperately needing in. Don't just no-show, because that's prolonging someone else's wait time further. So have a little love and respect for that. But I think you will enjoy talking to someone. Like I said, whether it's a friend, a counselor, sometimes we just feel better just talking to friends and family about things. But sometimes when it's a little deeper, we need someone that maybe isn't quite so close to us that we can talk with and speak on things that are a little bit deeper. So whatever works best for you. Number 6 is stay on your treatment plan. So for me, I take 2 medicines that help me with my depression and anxiety. I'll also take a vitamin B12. It's I think 500 ICU or something like that. I take it once a week. And then my treatment plan, allergies. My treatment plan has been that I listen to my doctor about, let's try this, and then some vitamin, and then a multivitamin. That's my regimen, my treatment plan. It's also been changing my food, changing what I drink, more water intake, changing, not eating fried food, not eating junk food, not eating donuts, cakes, stuff like that. Eating healthier options. And we talked about that a little bit earlier. Whatever the healthiest option looks like for you is fine. But there's also things that when some of these medicines that are helping with depression and anxiety, if you stop them cold turkey, they can send you flat to the ground. So it's not a good idea to just stop, or when you start feeling better, to just stop. Now, a lot of people are treated for just situational depression, and maybe you're on an antidepressant, and email, call, go see your doctor and see about coming off of it. But a lot of times the answer is not just, well, I'm going to quit taking it. Sometimes it's, there's a weaning off period for you. So just be smart about that. Sometimes for people like me, you're on medication long term, and we have good periods and we think, well, I don't need to take my medicine anymore, or not today, and that you're fluctuating your levels, and so you're gonna fluctuate obviously your emotions and your mental space there. So just be smart about it. We know how, if you've dealt with any kind of mental illness for any period of time, you know what happens when you either miss a couple doses or go off it for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So just maintain your regimen, your medical regimen and your health regimen. And if you want to change something, speak with your doctor, who can give you advice on coming off of it safely. Number 7, and we've talked about this one before too, avoid alcohol and drugs. And drugs, obviously illegal drugs, but also I can't take antihistamine. So that's always fun during allergy season, because antihistamine interacts with my medicine and it will put me on the floor. So, and I will have horrible days if I try to take an antihistamine. Occasionally I can get by if I've been outside all day and it's just really, there's a lot of pollen in the air. Occasionally I can get by with taking one, but other than that one dose, most of the time that's a no. So I've had to figure out other things that work better or cause less interaction with my medicine. Obviously drinking, we've talked about this before. I think a lot of the reason people drink and use drugs is because they're wanting the pain to stop. They're wanting to get away from reality for just a little bit and let the pain stop. But what that does is you do get away for 30 minutes, depending on what drug you're taking, or an hour or 3 hours with however long you drink, but it's so detrimental to your success with mental health. And I'm not saying that you can't have a drink every now and then, but alcohol is when you're struggling, alcohol is going to interfere one way or the other. If you're going to drink, then I would say let it be when you're up here. You're not having any signs or any kind of waves, or definitely not in the pit of depression and anxiety, because you're going to set yourself back so far every time. The minute day or hour that alcohol or drug gives you is not worth what you just extended on to your struggle to get back up. So avoid caffeine, avoid caffeine too, but drugs and alcohol. Caffeine is another thing. I don't talk a lot about it. I myself am coming off caffeine, and so that's been my next step in my journey. And I typically drink a caffeine drink in the morning, and then the rest of the day I have caffeine free organic blackberry or elderberry tea or water with a little bit of fresh lemon in it, and I feel better a decent amount just making that switch. Now, will I ever get off the first one in the morning? I'm not sure. Say a little prayer for me, but stepping off of that as well will also help, especially caffeine and anxiety, because the more caffeine you get, the more anxious and anxiety and fired up you are. What I had been doing was, that kind of carried me through the day, because I felt like I was tired all the time, when in reality I just wasn't getting enough good fluid. Number 8, and we talk about this one all the time, challenge negative thoughts. If it does not align with God's word in the Bible, challenge it. If you're not a Christian and something comes to you and you're thinking, that doesn't even sound right, like, change your thought process. If you're driving down the road and all of a sudden in your mind you're thinking, you know what, you're just worthless. No, you're not. No, you're not. Stop that thought and change it. It really is, as I'm going to say this kind of facetiously, it is as simple as that, but it also takes practice, right? Because we typically have just negative thoughts, and we've just let them run rampant. And we've talked about how many you have, like 50,000 or 90,000 thoughts a day, and a lot of those are repetitive. So people with depression and anxiety and mental illness, we get those negative thoughts in our head and they're on repeat, and our mind just goes with them. And so it is a challenge to stop those and put better thoughts in your mind, but you can do it. Number 9 is do something you enjoy. Now, I remember my counselor, I had went to a counselor for a couple months back at the end of last year, and he asked me, what do you do for fun? And I was like, what? I had no answer for that, but there are things that bring me joy, that bring me happiness, that make me laugh, that make me smile. Maybe it's a funny movie, maybe it's going for a hike, maybe it's going for a drive, going to a dinner with friends and family, or just by yourself just to get some peace and quiet. Sometimes I see people just sitting in their car and they've got the music on and they're just jamming, and that's fine. Like, whatever it is that gives you a little bit of happiness. Maybe it's going to a movie, maybe it's going out and working in your garden. That has really brought me a lot of happiness, just being in the garden, growing my seedlings, watching them grow, being in there every day with them, rotating them, watering them, whatever it is that gives you a little bit of joy. Find that and just do it. Even if it's something as small as, I've got my whole day slammed and I don't have time for this, I don't have time for anything, I can't sit down and watch a movie, I can't go for a walk, I don't have a garden. Light a candle that takes you to a time that you love. We all have different things that we either hear, smell, see that make us happy. Whatever that is for you, pick one and go. Number 10 is try setting a routine. So understand this, that routines can change. I've been in a routine for the past probably 6 weeks, I guess, where I've been growing the seedlings and moving the goats. We just got the electric fence not that long ago, and so that's kind of new to me, and I've gotten in a routine with it. I've gotten in a routine with the seedlings, and now my routine's about to change because probably the mid to late April, we're gonna plant everything outside, or not everything, but a lot of it outside. And so that's gonna be new because it's all gonna have to be watered. The goats are still gonna have to be moved. We're getting chickens in June, and I still have all of the chores, you know, in the house that have to be done. So sometimes your routines change, but I find that I do better when I have a routine, and however that looks like for your life, because my routine is not going to be your routine. Like, you might live in an apartment in Atlanta, and so you're not going to have goats, and you could have seedlings if you have you know, a window, you could have seedlings there, but you're not going to have the acreage and the probably not as many fur babies as we have, and just that we're not going to have the same responsibilities. Your responsibilities are going to look a lot different than mine, and so my schedule might not work. But I find that I enjoy having a schedule where I know, and that kind of goes back to using my calendar as a kind of a daily chart of things I need to get done that day, and just being able to mark them off. But having a routine has just helped me know everything I have to get done. Here's when I need to get it done, and I would like to have it done before 6 o'clock in the evening, because I like to kind of wind down. So again, it's whatever that looks like. I don't want you to try to compare like our life or our schedules, because everyone's in a different place. And even like my Nick's mom and dad, who live next door, and then our neighbors, and then Nick and I, all of us live on what you would say is a homestead, but we're very different in what responsibilities we have are all different. So I mean, even just neighbors, you know, 3 neighbors, everything's so different. My routine would not work for any of the 4 of them, and Nick's routine would not work for, I mean, it's just different, and that's okay. It's okay. We all have different things. I think we all try to fit in or match or copy what someone else is doing, because we like what they are doing. And just be you. You are all you need to be. I know that's hard for people to believe, because society tells you you need to be a size 2 and blonde hair, blue eyes, 5'9", and you need to always wear makeup, always have your hair done, always have your nails done, always have your toes done, wear the right clothes, wear the right jewelry, have the right car, have the right husband, have the right job, or be a stay-at-home mom, whatever. That's such a lie. I mean, I look at so many different people that look nothing like that, and they're just beautiful. We are beautiful people. We don't have to match a certain criteria to belong. You belong. If you're a Christian, you're God's kid. Well, all of us, Christian or not, He created us. He created us. I'm watching the goats in the side yard, or in the front yard. He created us, so He does not make mistakes, and we're all perfect just the way we are. Whether you're a size 2 or a size 20 or a size 30, it doesn't matter. You're perfect just the way you are. I feel like we always kind of think that we need to fit in a box to be accepted and to be wanted, and honestly, that's one of the reasons why I love my fur babies, right? It doesn't matter if I look like this, or if I have 0 makeup on, or if I got ready for the day and have, I wouldn't say I ever really do my hair. It pretty much looks kind of like this every day. But if I'm getting ready to go to church or getting ready to go to a wedding, like, they could care less. If I'm in a bad mood or if I'm having anxiety, they just love me right through it. Love me anyway. People sometimes will let you down, but understand that there's a lot of good people out there. I know the media and the news can kind of portray that it's just bad, and there's nobody good out there, but there are some really loving, wonderful, good people out there that we're lucky if we get to know. So those are my 10. I wanted to share a verse with you. It's Romans 8:38. Nothing can ever separate us from God's love. I think it's important for us to remember that on our good days, our bad days, our excellent days, our horrible days. Nothing can ever separate us from God's love. And the second one is James 4:8. Come close to God and God will come close to you. I love that verse. He's not going to force himself, right? We have free will. That's why there is evil in this world, because he gave us free will, and sometimes we're not good stewards of that. Tragedy happens, there's free will. Like some people say, well, where's God? Well, I mean, we've all but banned him from everything, and then we want to know where he is, or whatever that looks like. But he's never once let me down. And that's not saying I haven't had tragedy or very bad things that have happened, but God has never left my side, and I love him. I really do love him. He is my best friend. My husband is my second best friend, but God is my best friend. He's been there for me for everything. So I like to end every video this way, guys, and we will obviously see you in the next one. God loves you. I love you. Your family loves you. Your friends love you, and we need you here. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.